to talk a little bit today. I would wish this be a very, very short little video, but it might end up being longer. It's titled Our Tips for Success at School, and it's for all the courses. So this is for people who maybe have been out of school for a while and they're coming back. So they've been out in the work world, they're coming back to academia, or people who finished a college diploma and they're coming to the university, or just a refresher, reminder, reboot for people who have had a very, very long summer holiday and they're feeling a bit foggy. And this is a strange year that we've all had our, between C-19 and everything else going on in the rapid movement into technology. There's all kinds of stuff that we could, for your own best interest, your own best investment in your mind, in your career goals, your academic strengths. So I've been teaching for 23 years. I have my doctorate. In addition to my doctorate, I have a PhD, I have MA, I have a 4-year BSW, I have a 3-year BA in sociology, I have a women's studies certificate, a volunteer management certificate, and most recently art therapy certification. So I have both the experience of being a student in all kinds of contexts, University of Toronto, Laurentian University, and even here actually I took all the courses for an MA in Indigenous Studies, and then I ran out of time. So I can tell you from the location as a failure of, some things there. So some of the quick and obvious ones for students. Buy all the books. If you can't afford to buy all the books, maybe make a plan with one of your friends where you'll buy 2 books and they buy 2 books and you trade during the semester. Or get yourself organized to go to the library and maybe order or borrow those books way ahead of time. The semester is only 12 or 13 weeks, so if you go looking to get the book in week 10 of the semester from the library, and there's only one and it's in Calgary or something, you haven't done your own best investment in your future and your planning. So, buy the books. Budget for that. If you can't buy the books, what I would recommend you at least do is borrow somebody else's books and photocopy the list of contents and maybe some keywords, or if there's diagrams in the book, photocopy that. Then you can borrow somebody's book, maybe read what you need to read, but you at least know the list of contents. These are 6 chapters. I don't know, let's say it's a family course and there's 1 chapter on divorce, 1 chapter on adoption, 1 chapter on violence. You know that in this semester you will have to know knowledge on those bodies of conversation and thinking, right? So at least photocopy the list of contents in the book. And I know you have to plan. That's another thing. When people graduate with a degree, the person who's hiring you someday, they want you to have content knowledge, which is kind of obvious, but they also want you to have process knowledge. So process knowledge or self-management knowledge is stuff like you're proving, the employer assumes if you have a 4-year degree or a master's degree, they assume you know how to tell time. They assume you know you're supposed to show up. If your shift starts at 9, you should be there at 5 to 9, and you should stay till 5 after 5 if that's what you're being paid to do. Which again seems really obvious, but I'll have students who will schedule themselves. They'll say to me the first day of class, I won't be able to come to class on this day, this day, this day, and this day, and all the other days I'm going to arrive late because I take the bus, and other days I'm going to be leaving early because I have to pick up my kids. So right away you've kind of communicated to your peers in the classroom, and you've locked yourself in to maybe only being exposed to 70% of what's going on here. You may also be kind of communicating to your peers that you think you're way more important than them, so that you can just kind of walk through the classroom and interrupt everyone as they're talking while you shuffle your books and make noise and leave or arrive late. And I can't tell you how many times somebody has been that person. Oh, here comes so-and-so again. They always come late and they make a lot of noise and fuss and interrupt the conversation. And then they sit down and 20 minutes into the 3-hour seminar, they say things like, oh, they ask a question and everybody in the room kind of goes, oh, God, we already discussed that for the first half hour of this class. And they are now asking the other 29 people in the room to go backwards to repeat something.
Because they're just catching on now.
Right. And so in a way that's quite rude and it's very selfish. You're taking other people for granted. Hey, let's all go backwards. All 29 of you should now have to repeat this because I wasn't here on time.
And last time I checked, we don't tutor for free.
Right, exactly. So the challenge for you have to, it's like integrity or honesty. You want to be known as an honest person with integrity, but you also have to appear to be a person of integrity and so on, right? Like sometimes it's the perception. Maybe you are a very motivated student and you really do care about the other 29 people, but if they witness you always arriving late and leaving early and asking us to repeat stuff, they're going to perceive you as an irritating person, right? So reflect on that. It's not all about you. It's all about us and the knowledge. That's the purposefulness of us being in this room together.
Well, that and the network. So like if you piss off your peers, you're also pissing off potential like avenues later in life.
Exactly. In small communities, everybody here in Northern BC, if you're in social work in Northern BC, chances are the other people in that classroom are going to be your co-workers in a year or 5 years from now. They're going to be on a hiring committee in a year or 5 years from now. They might be your boss in a year or 5 years from now, or potential boss. So you want to be known as the person who arrives early, leaves late, is attuned, is respectful, doesn't make people repeat things, who comes prepared. So again, these let's say hygiene or etiquette or manners or protocols or displays of professionalism, I'm always amazed that students will spend maybe $60,000 to accumulate some knowledge and to get some credentials in the world, but at the same time, every day they shoot themselves in the foot in a really loud way. Why are you doing that? And I know it happens sometimes. You have a semester from hell.
Like to struggle.
Like to struggle. Yeah. Well, I know life can be really painful and everybody's got, 1 or 2 semesters from hell in your life, or you're sick or things like that. But ask yourself, really, is it worth arriving 5 minutes late 12 weeks in a row, that 5 minutes? Or people will say, I take the bus, that's why I have to be late. Well, I've been taking the bus for 23 years, and the way the bus works is every half hour there's another one. So what you could be doing is instead of the bus that gets you there 25 minutes late, take the other bus where you'll be there 5 minutes early. And if you want to be super wise and professional, take the one even that's an hour early now and then so that you can review your notes, you can come to class prepared, you can make friends with your colleagues in the room. If you're always the one arriving late, leaving early, you don't get to network, you don't get to know people, and you don't get to make a positive impression on them. So, just trying to give you some tips for success here. So, buy all the books. If you can't afford to buy them, do a trade plan or go to the library and order them as soon as possible.
Or alternatively, you can look online and see if there's a PDF version, because I've ended up getting a lot of my psych textbooks that way, and I didn't have to buy them. They were just on different websites uploaded.
Perfect. Good tip. Save you some money there. You can buy more sushi and samosas.
So yeah, just look up PDF files of them, and you can a lot of the time find most of your textbooks on different websites.
Yeah.
Some of them are paid and some of them are free, but I mean, $4.99 is a hell of a lot better than $300.
Exactly. And also sometimes you can get the supplementary text secondhand. In social work, someone was looking at one of my books here yesterday. I think it's a Mullally Structural Social Work, and there's the edition number 5, edition number 4, edition number 3. So if number 5 or number 6 by September of this year is maybe $80, you might be able to buy the previous version or even the previous. In social work, not everything changes that fast in terms of Canadian structures and federal government and stuff. There's a wisdom in checking on the newest one. Again, look at the list of contents from your friends, photocopy that page, but then you could still buy the secondhand or last edition very, very affordably. Sometimes it's $5 or $6, or you're just basically paying for shipping to get it to come to you. So
also check like Value Village and places like that as another.
Yes,
I've seen that. I didn't before, but now that I checked the reference section, I find there's a lot of textbooks there from the university because I can still see the used sticker from the bookstore.
Exactly. So a lot of that stuff takes planning. So again, this is another thing that I see a lot of students do. They schedule your semester is 13 weeks. And people will say, well, the first week of school I won't be there because I'm on vacation. Oh, okay, sorry about your vacation cutting into your school time. And or they'll say, I can't be here the last week of school because I'm going back to my family in Toronto or whatever, right? I feel your pain and I wish you to have as much family contact time as possible. But again, it's like the arriving late, leaving early thing. If you've taken a 13-week semester and you've skinned it down to 11 or 10 because of other things in your life, okay, you're scheduling yourself for a B or a C in the semester. Don't be mad at other people if that's what you've set yourself up for. So, the school, this 3 years or 4 years of your life, it's a pretty serious commitment. Arrive on time, stay till the end, schedule the bus so that you're there a little bit early. It's an investment in your big, big future. Don't be the person who gets remembered as the annoying person who always came late, or the annoying person who asked us to all repeat things. Don't send your prof an email that says, oh, I missed these 2 classes, and I'm wondering if I can have a private meeting with you where you could repeat everything that happened. You're insulting your profs if you ask that, because you're suggesting we have nothing else to do. You're also forgetting, and this is an important thing I'm going to tell you here right now, some secrets behind the doors. All of everything your profs do in an entire year, only 40% of that is about students. 40. Write that number down. So, for example, in my case, I might have 100 students that I'm working with in a 12-month period. Some of them are master's students, so you may not even see them, but they drop off their thesis. Let's say I have 5 or 10 master's students. They drop off a draft of their thesis that's 100 pages. So if I have 5 and they drop off 100-page drafts and I have to read it and edit it and give it back, and then 2 months later they drop off another 100-page version and then another 100-page version. I'm also on thesis committees, so add another 5 students with their 100 pages. I'm also an external examiner sometimes, so there's another. So there's maybe in a year 20,000 pages of reading that I have to do on behalf of thesis students. I'm also, and that's all your profs are doing that, so it's behind the scenes. I've had students say, I came to your office yesterday and the day before and I knocked on the door and you weren't there. Again, you're kind of insulting me to suggest I sit in my room having nothing to do waiting for you to show up and say hi. Right? Make an appointment, but also notice I might be in social work. I might be at the Elizabeth Fry doing a practicum supervision. I might be in the community going to a protest, a rally. I might be going to a meeting about grant proposals. I might be at the Women's Center talking to Sarah about something we're going to do for summer student funding. Your profs do our teaching is supposed to be 40% or so. That's everything to do with students. That's marking and designing and curriculum review. But then we're also supposed to be writing papers for conferences and so on. We apply for grants. There's a lot that we do behind the scenes that you don't see. And just trust that if you make an appointment or if you send an email, that's another thing. Don't do this. These are your tips. Tips for success. Don't do this. Hi, It's me. Would you write me a reference letter? It's due on Friday. Don't do that. Don't do that. Make really clear, hello, it's me, Carlene, from Summer of da-da-da. I did this and this with you. I'm applying for this specific job over here. This is the traits that I know that you witnessed in me, that I'm assertive, organized, creative, effective, da-da-da-da. Is it okay that I give you a private phone number, or would you prefer it by email, etc., etc., etc.? Do that. That's a good thing. I've had, for example, the name Shelley, not to hurt all the mums who named all their kids Shelley, but I've had about 9 Shelleys in my classes over the years. I've had 11 Susans, right? I need to know who you are and specifically what you want. If you want to have a meeting with me, I almost always will ricochet back the request. Students will say, I would like to have a meeting with you. I need to talk about some things. Put in the email, I would like to have a meeting to talk about Chapter 5, which I didn't understand. Here's 3 questions I have. Because I might be able to zing back the answers right here and now in an email rather than us having a meeting. Right? Be respectful and mindful. So, okay, so there's some stuff around time. There's some stuff around the reading and so on. If you know you're going to have one of those semesters from hell, I highly recommend that you take the initiative and set up a study buddy situation. Find 2 other people in the class, charm them, and be point blank explicit. Hi, I will buy you a $100 Starbucks card if you take notes for me and you meet with me twice during the semester or something like that. Right? Sometimes you know you're sick or something's going on. So don't take other people for granted. Offer them some respect for their time to spend with you to give you what you may have missed in class. Another really important thing, take notes. Again, that seems obvious, but a lot of the younger students, or let's say modern students, they think that they'll just sit there for the whole semester and intermittently they take a photograph of the blackboard. Well, one, that's not going to stick in your mind as well as if you actually write out. Research has shown that actually writing out things makes it stick in your head more substantively and thickly. Take notes. The recommendation is imagine that you're going to teach someone else what you just learned in the last 3 hours. And ask yourself that. Could I teach someone else a summary of what I learned today? Also, as Tuba has reminded us here, after you leave class, you might want to go and sit for 5 or 10 minutes and just summarize what were the 3 key ideas today. What were 2 things that might be on a quiz someday? Ask yourself, why is the teacher giving me this information now? Most of your profs have really thought it through pretty carefully when and what they will offer you. So the information is kind of sequenced from session 1 to session 5 to session 9. Why are they giving you this information at this time? It's not always sometimes it's just these are 10 things we need to know and there's no particular order. But sometimes that's a core question for you to ask. So the teacher talked about federal government and funding, then the next one provincial government and funding, the next one municipal government and funding, third next session they talk about charities and funding, right? So why did they pick that order to teach about it, or what was their intention? Even if you can't get a clear answer to that, and maybe they were just chaotic, but in inviting that question, you're putting the knowledge into the IKEA shelves in your head and it'll stick differently. Rather than sort of passively sitting there and saying, oh crap, it's just happening at me. It's just crap and it's spiraling crap. No, ideally it's not. Ideally, the prof has looked at 100 different textbooks and they've picked a textbook for a particular reason. It may not be vivid to you and it's worth asking about if you feel kind of it's all just chaos. So take notes, summarize after the classes. Also, don't compare your grades. I've had so many situations where students get themselves in a pout or a sulk, or they get themselves angry, and they say things like, oh, my friend got a 72 and I only got a 70. don't fixate too much on that kind of stuff. In social work, this is a particularly gritty space in that you might be in a classroom where you're a 24-year-old student who's had one job at one shelter for 1 year. You might be sitting beside someone who completed her college diploma 20 years ago, and she's now worked in 8 different agencies with 8 different kind of client groups. She's quite wise, quite informed. It's not fair to you or her to compare each other. You might have the strengths that you've been recently using APA style and computers. She has the strength that she knows intuitively how certain clients will respond to certain struggles, right? So don't get too obsessed with the mark stuff. The point is, what did you learn that will be useful to you when you graduate and you're working with people, when you're working in an agency? So don't compare grades. Get your work done early and trade. I say this all the time. I've said it, I think, in another video here. If you have 2 essays due in a semester, I don't know why students don't work harder to get the 2 essays done each a week early. Trade with one of your study buddies and say, and mean it. Be brutal. Really go through this with a red pen and find the spots where I could have used a better word, or I could have been more clear, or sentences that are repetitive. There's stuff like that that only another person can see and find for you. We all have our habitual weaknesses, right? Mm-hmm. And somebody else who's fresh to the material will find those. You trade back, you fix it, you hand it in. Both of you, your marks just went up. Right? Yay on you. Yay on you. Do that. I don't know why people don't, but they do. And a vision board. In this semester, because we're all now on computer and C19 and all that, other semesters I would get the students to make an actual vision board of what do you want to get by the end of the semester, sort of a graffiti on a bristle board. Put down some words. I want to know these 3 things. I don't want to fall into this pattern. Put some graffiti on there. I used to bring stickies and markers and crayons and stuff to make it a little bit playful, and then I would ask the students to share their vision boards with each other. But I would say, put this behind your computer, or put this in the bathroom where you go every morning and brush your teeth, because you want to remind yourself, why are you here? Why are you taking a $60,000 student debt? Why are you giving up 4 or 5 years of your entire life to be here?
Alternatively, though, at the end of that, your employer looks at your 4-year degree and says, this person likes to spend dollars and not get payback for a really long time.
Well, your person has impulse control and patience and a sense of the future and goals and all this stuff.
And dedication and all
dedication, work ethic, organized, time management. But it's also sometimes in the middle of the semester people think, oh, today I got to go have pizza with my friends. Is that really part of your vision? Is that why you're going to skip class to go have pizza with friends? Every now and then that's okay, but is it really why you came here? Do you want to be paying this student loan 5 years after you graduate and you have lots and lots of memories of people and pizza, or do you want to have a really solid, deep, rich, thick sense of your own professional knowledge and your competence? At the end of the semester, again, this is a small thing, but it has huge harvest. I know a lot of students, the semester ends, they write their quiz or their exam, they hand in their papers, and they say, I'm done. Merry Christmas to me. And that's it. And then the student then goes on holidays or whatever, goes back to family, and then misses the first week of January because they're with their family, whatever. So they arrive late to the semester, and all of last semester is just a pile of crap somewhere in their closet. The smartest students, the best, the most professional are the students. The semester ends, your profs have spent time often putting marking all over your essays or your assignments, or on your exam. If you got a 70 instead of a 90, you might want to ask the prof, what are 2 things I could have focused on more, or could you let me know? Because some profs don't give you back the actual exam, right? but what were two areas where it really bombed? Where do I need to strengthen? It's not good to say, it's not in your own best interest to say the semester's over, I'm done, and just dump it, and then, right? The point is, are you going to make those same mistakes now in your new semester in January? Probably, because you don't even know what the mistakes were. You only got a 70. A lot of students don't even pick up their final essays. Out of a group of 30 students, I might have 15 who don't pick up their final essay. And guess which group it'll be? Is it the top 15 people in the class who don't pick up their essay? No, it's the bottom. The people who have the most benefit from reading, where did I glitch? Where did I get stuck? Those are the people who won't pick up their essay. And I'm always like, why? The student who's an A+ student will come and I'll say I call it open house to pick up your assignments or whatever. And they won't show up for the B and C students won't show up for open house. The A++ student who has 1 comma error, they'll arrive at open house as soon as I open the door to my office. And they'll be really mindful. So there you go, right? There you go. So at the end of every semester, similar to, as Tubal was saying, after each class, to go and spend 5 minutes maybe just summarizing what were the 3 points, what did I learn, what do I need to focus on later, is the same with the whole semester. Go through your books, go through your notes, go through your jump drives, whatever, and kind of tidy it up and give a quick overview of the whole semester. This class, this class, this class, this class. How did that all fit together? Have some breadth and depth and width of witnessing of the knowledge. And then go on your Christmas holiday. Or go on holiday for a week and then come back and do that sort of tidying. So then in January, when you come back for your first week of school, everything is tidy and organized, and you can IKEA dovetail right into the new semester. All in your best interest. Another thing in social work in particular, find examples and integrate the examples. So memorizing, the teacher said these 3 ideas. We had one video on siblings, and we were talking about being firstborn females and what does that do and blah, blah, blah. So the teacher talks to you about firstborn females, blah, blah, blah. What you want to be also doing is, as you're listening to that, think, how would that be useful when I'm doing family counseling? How would that be useful when I'm doing hiring? Find a way to integrate and apply the ideas, the theories, the themes, and it'll, again, stick more depthfully in your mind. And it's a standard question teachers are going to say on an exam or a quiz or in class. How would you apply this idea? On my quizzes, my exams, I always ask those kind of questions. I always tell everybody I'm going to ask those kind of questions. And some people will really crash with the quiz. They'll just plummet because they're good at memorizing stuff. But when I say, why is this useful? How would this be useful? I didn't think you were going to ask me that. Well, this is social work. The point of this course and everything you're learning is to go out into the world and spend the next 40 years actually being useful in counselors, families, moms, kids, so on, right? So if you haven't gone that extra imaginative step of how would this be useful, again, you've dwarfed your accomplishments. Okay, so find examples, integrate, summarize at the end of the semester, have a vision for yourself at the beginning of this semester and at the beginning of the year. Get your work done early and trade your essays. Don't compare your grades. Take notes and summarize after each session, or at least every week. If you don't have the time after every session, at the end of every week, say, okay, I had these classes, I did this reading, I went to these presentations. How do I make that all make sense for your own self? Integrate it. Attend classes, seems kind of obvious. This is serious. It's a commitment. It's like a job.
You gotta keep showing up.
You gotta keep showing up. And trust me, the way life is, often the very 2 classes that you missed, those will be on the exam. Or someday in a job interview, someone will ask you those questions and you'll go, holy crap. It'll happen to you, trust me. Okay, any other examples you can think of things that, this is tips for success in academia. Any other things you can think of?
I guess be honest with yourself. Like, if you're the kind of person like that shows up late and you know that, like, is it because you have an excuse and you're telling yourself that, oh, it's because I had to do this and because I had to do that, or is it just who you are as a person, in which case you can plan for that.
Right.
But you have to be honest with yourself first.
Right, be honest with yourself. And it's also okay some semesters to say, I'm going to get B's this semester.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to just pass this semester. If I just pass, I'm good. Right? Sometimes it's the semester your mom is dying, or the semester you do have to work a lot of hours, or the semester that you're in the middle of a divorce, or, you know, it's okay. But be honest with yourself, be authentic, be brave and adult and mature, be self-aware, and don't go snarling at everybody around. You know, how dare that teacher gave me a C? Last year I was a B+ student. Well, yeah, maybe last year you were in the middle of a divorce, right? It's okay sometimes to give yourself permission to be imperfect in some domains of your life, but don't blame other people. And then whatever it is, try and get over it for next semester. Yep. Try and do it different next semester. So there's some kind of practical, this is for all the courses. Now, one more thing I want to kind of give you a little bit of an overview of. It is, again, in your best interest, and you're paying for it as part of your tuition. If you need counseling during the semester, reach out for it. You can get free counseling here at UNBC. If you're Indigenous or you want to learn about Indigenous issues, there is an Indigenous Center at UNBC. They have events, they have lunches, they have speakers. They can give you some wonderful, rich support. We have the Women's Center at UNBC. If you're feeling sad or depressed, or there's struggles in your life that are there because of incest or rape or wife assault or something, go to the Women's Center. Use that resource and support. Make yourself stronger. Same, we have a Pride Center. Go there and learn, enrich yourself, find friends, comrades, colleagues. There are so many resources. Reach out and use them. There's also a writing center. And again, like I've said with so many things, don't wait till a week before all your essays are due and then say, oh, I think I might have a learning disability, or I think I really need to improve my writing skills, or if English is your second or third language, maybe you need to go to the writing center. Don't wait till the last week, and don't wait till you fail a class, and don't blame it on the teacher. Again, the students often with the weakest writing skills are the ones who don't go to the writing center for support sometimes, and it doesn't make sense to me. I don't know why it is. One more big picture thing. The wide world says, oh, I have to finish this degree in 3 years or 4 years. No, you don't. You could take 5. You could go part-time. I always recommend, if you've been out of school for a while, or if you've got a lot going on, go part-time. You know, like, I'm almost 60. I'm still a student. I still learn things. I'm learning technology. This is a good thing, right? I've had students say to me with rage in their eyes, you know, I have to finish this degree before I'm 30. Because my sister finished before she was 30. One, whatever your sister did or didn't do is completely irrelevant to you and your journey. Mm-hmm. And maybe she just had some ridiculous idea of, oh, 30 is a magic number. Because, you know, like people have in their mind, I have to because my mother says, or I have to because my brother did, or I have to because that's the normal. There is no normal anymore with academia. You're going to be learning all your life. So whether you finish this degree by the time you're 30, you know what? When you're 30 and a half, there'll be something else to learn. It's going to be like that forever. Mm-hmm. It's okay. And if you are explosive like that and frail and brittle and angry about stuff, go get counseling. Go get counseling. Don't yell at your profs about, you know, I don't have to take this from you, or stuff like that. No, you don't have to take this from me, but you do have to stop yelling at me.
Yeah,
right?
you also don't have to take this course.
Right, yeah, you don't have to take this course. You could take another course or no course or whatever.
Yeah.
Go just have the day off and eat pizza with your friends. But
This is just as voluntary for them as it is for you.
right, exactly. So there's just some things. There's also a Center for Special Needs on campus, or Access Center, I think they call it now.
The Access Resource Center?
Access Resource Center. So sometimes, again, don't wait till the last week of school. Go at the beginning of the year if you think you maybe have anxiety that inhibits you from succeeding, or you think you have a learning disability, or, reach out and use all that stuff. It's your gift. It's there. It's waiting for you. And you won't even know how much it might or might not help you until you go there, right? Again, students have said, well, I don't want to go there, I'll be stigmatized. I'm not one of those people. Or I don't want to be seen going to the Writing Support Center because I'm not one of those people. We're all one of those people. We all have something we could benefit from, whether it's the Pride Center, or the Women's Center, Indigenous Center, or Access, or Writing Skills. That's what the whole university is about.
Literally the worst thing that'll happen is someone thinks you're studious.
Right, people will be
darn.
amazed with you and impressed with you. Like, oh, look at her, she's working on strengthening her skills. One of my first college courses, I failed it. It was a psychology course. And then I took it again the next year or 2 years later, something, and it's still one of the highest marks ever, because the second time I took it, I aced everything! I was like, I know this. Another course that I really struggled with in my journey was statistics, and I had to have a statistics course, and I think I got 69 the first time, so I had to take it again because we needed a 70. Took it again and I got a 70. So I took the whole course the second time and got one more mark, or maybe 2 marks. But that's part of the journey too, right? That sometimes there's going to be part of your degree that, like, you might be really good at computer stuff and I can't turn on my phone. I don't know, it rings. I don't know how to make it stop ringing, right? That it's okay to admit maybe with math you're not that strong, or APA stuff. There's going to be parts of your stuff that aren't very strong during the journey. You can work on strengthening them, and there may still be maybe if I took that same statistics course again, now I'd get 12. I'd fail it so fast. Because I haven't used that knowledge, right? It just fades away, some of it, if you don't use it.
Mm-hmm.
So those are some of the things that we just wanted to say to you today. One other thing that's coming up now about technology is some of your profs want you to attend the synchronous. Some of your profs will have specific times on specific days where they still want you to show up in cyber and have their sessions or discussions.
Mm-hmm.
Show up and do that. Recently I've taught a group of people, and there's a couple people who got completely confused about when the exam was, and they sat there, it sounds like, very stressed out because they couldn't get on the computer to write their exam. But they had missed one of our discussions, and they didn't realize that was what the quiz had got moved a week forward. So they sat there all stressed out for nothing, and the lecture was recorded, so they could have, even though they missed it, they could have followed up later. So those are things for you to think about now too. Maybe you haven't had all of these new ways of learning, so reflect on that. Check in with your peers. Again, I would have, so those people who missed that lecture, it sounds like they didn't go and watch the taped discussion. It also sounds like they didn't network with their peers or their study buddies and say, did I miss anything? Because that's a pretty significant thing to miss. When is the quiz? Mm-hmm. When is the final exam? Which is worth 40% in that course. So that would be pretty stressful. You don't know what you don't know until somehow you manage to bang your head on it. So they bang their head, panicking, why can't I access the exam?
Yeah.
You know,
and they didn't ask you in advance, because if it was one of those things where they missed a lecture, I mean, regardless, they could have just watched it. But assuming that, you should have asked what you missed in advance anyways, before the quiz.
Right. They had a lot of time to figure it out. So all of that stuff and the technology stuff. All of us have struggled this last semester. I've been very fortunate to have two wizards here who've guided me and have been my backup plan. Not every student has that. So again, kind of like the idea of show up early. Show up if you haven't developed comfort with this stuff. Experiment ahead of time. Or show up early. Don't show up 10 minutes late and then you realize, oh, I don't know how to get on the screen, or I don't know how to access the Blackboard or whatever, right?
We have an IT desk at the university that you can go to as well. So if you're having problems with Blackboard or email or anything, you can go there.
And yes, go there, just like Pride Center, whatever. Go there. And also don't go there at the last minute. If you feel kind of shaky and nervous on certain things, go a week ahead of time and just double check in. Is this how that's going to work? Is this how this is going to work? Make sure you've got your codes and passes and stuff like that. And again, that stuff has nothing to do with your professor. So don't be emailing your professor in a panic saying, I can't get my computer to work, or my camera isn't working, or my audio isn't working. Again, if I have 100 students and your camera isn't working, I don't know what I personally can do for you or on your behalf. That's IT. So bring your problems to the right people, the technology stuff. One more thing about plagiarism and about recording. Some profs are very uncomfortable with you recording their, in my case, all of my lectures now are on YouTube, so they're wide open to the world. But some profs only have them on Blackboard, and they only want you to watch them at certain times. They are available, and then they get locked up. So check in with your different profs about that stuff to be clear on it. Do you know your profs yet for September? I mean,
I'm on the wait list for a couple of courses, so I technically know all of my instructors as of right now, but
do you know yet about the time and the sequencing and the scheduling and everything? Okay. Because it's a bit this semester different than perhaps, I hope, all semesters for the rest of our lives. But this semester right now, some of your profs also are a bit confused, and then Registrar's Office may have said this class is on Tuesdays from 9 till 12, but it isn't going to be 9 to 12. The prof is going to do something different. Mm-hmm. As in my case, it's wide open. You can watch your lectures on YouTube, and then even if you miss the discussions, they'll be recorded. But you can't assume that all your profs will be that way. Some of the profs I've heard are very vigilant about, they still have to, I've scheduled this for 9 in the morning and they still have to show up, and they're intense about it. So check in on what the protocols are with each prof. Any other little tips we could give anybody here? There's two very successful people here, so I want to make sure, and they're closer to some of the glitches students might experience, because there's still students at UMBC. Some of the things I might not think of, parking fees, stuff like that. Do you ever have glitches with that? You got that all sorted? I'm asking because I've had students, they come to class late and they say, I couldn't find a parking spot and I had to park far away and then I didn't know how to pay this thing. And
well, I mean, like, they have the online payment system, so like you don't necessarily need to have change on you, which is nice. But they haven't really sorted out the whole parking situation. Like, again, if you arrive early, then hopefully you'll have enough time to find a parking space, and even if you do have to park far away, you'll have time to get to class. But that being said, there's been plenty of times where, like, say for example, the first couple of weeks of September when everyone shows up to class and there's, you know, so many cars that, yeah, everyone's like double parked and triple parked and people are blocked in. And I've had to park way at the back of a dirt parking lot. Or for some people, like, it was almost like they couldn't find a spot, so they parked in spots that weren't spots.
And risk getting a ticket.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. So I'm sure there's 100 other little tips and strategies for success that other teachers will offer you or your peers will offer you. But I wanted to make sort of a no-name brand, all-purpose, quick tips for students who've been, kind of refresher. And thank you for attending this. Thank you for signing up for our classes. Thank you for being a learner and a curious person in the world. And given all those things we just gave you, which may have pumped up your stress, at the same time, if you've attended to these little things, let's say, the big things are going to come way more gracefully and substantively in good ways for you. So, yeah, thank you. Thank you.